Surah 49 Al-Hujurat, Ayat 6. O you who have believed, if there comes to you a disobedient one with information, investigate, lest you harm a people out of ignorance and become over what you have done regretful. Surah 49 Al-Hujurat. O mankind, indeed we have created you from male and female, and made you peoples and tribes, that you may know one another. Indeed, the most noble of you in the sight of Allah is the most righteous of you. Indeed, Allah is knowing and acquainted. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hope you're doing well. Here we see Tate says, women always defend the woman. Browns always defend the brown. Blacks always defend the black. The white man pays all the taxes, gives his country away, and will instantly defend his fellow white man ever, no matter what. Now, I want you to think of something. I'm a woman, I don't always defend the woman. I spent a lot of time refuting radical feminists and examining deeply why some women don't want to be accountable for their own actions or responsible for their own deeds. And I get called a pick-me-shit for that, so yeah, there are some women who are not about that. But I'd argue wisdom makes us better over time, and Islam asks us to verify news when it's brought to us. Okay, I don't always side with a woman, and I hope more women wake up to that, but he has a slight point there, although I would say that's only common amongst sort of the Me Too type women. Browns always defend the brown. Well, there is La Raza, right? And there is some type of ethnical unity, but there's more nuance. And he says blacks always defend the black. I see lots of blacks from Africa and America that argue with each other constantly about their culture. It's interesting if you go on what they call, it used to be called Black Twitter, but if you see people from Nigeria or Ghana, Kenya, they will often make fun of American black culture. And then if you see blacks in the UK, they come across as more posh, or the blacks in France. So now that we're a global civilization, I don't think they would always side, although there is a meme that says didn't do nothing, and that when it comes to police brutality, there will become a sort of argument around, hey, is this a fault of the person getting arrested not listening, or is it the cop? So there's an intense conversation around that. Now, when he says the white people pay all the taxes, white women are working now. Latinos, even if they're illegal, they still put into the economy. I always think it's weird how some people put whites up as this sort of savior, as if they're the only ones carrying civilization. It seems like real revisionist history, and it also undermines anthropologically other cultures that are valued for different reasons. You know, each civilization, whether you're going to ancient Mexico, modern Peru, the Bedouin cultures, you're looking at the Eskimos, you're looking at Wyoming, wherever it is, you have to examine how each culture adds and takes away, and it's really about your character and your intelligence and your morality, not so much your skin. Your skin is just a reflection of the equator, because if you're in a certain part of the world, you're going to get closer to the sun, and that's going to make you more brown, and over time, evolutionarily, they'd argue that would change you. Now, I don't think that there would be many people who would say that whites are holding up America. It seems just quite odd to me. Quite odd. Now, for a time, it's going to be difficult for generations to overcome their economic disparities. Like, how hard is it for someone like me? Is like your family, for the most part, not wealthy. Generational wealth hasn't been built, And us as civilians, we don't get to decide how the economy goes. We're kind of just existing in it. And some people are blessed by Allah to get a little boost in their funds. But at the end of the day, your barakah, your blessings, all that jazz is up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And taxes are overburdensome now, and they don't really get used the right way, and there should be less taxation on a lot of products. But I don't like that framing of everyone else is a leech except for the white man. It sounds pretty bizarre and a bit white supremacy, honestly. It also says a white man can shoot a brown in self-defense and fellow white man convict him of a crime. Again, I was probably getting at Daniel Penny, or who accidentally choked out that mentally ill black guy on the train. But it's really about, was it actually self-defense or not? You shouldn't just have unity with someone because of your race. I don't see any utility in that. That's not an Islamic value. We're not meant to see race first. They're a believer or a not believer. A kafir or a brother and sister in faith. The most treacherous race alive. So he's calling whites the most treacherous race alive. The other time he called people of India an inferior race. He says here, betraying and destroying each other to help races who hate them. We are not supposed to help someone just because of their race. Feeding the needy, clothing the needy, helping the orphan, helping the widow, those are Islamic values. We're not told to pick a race first. Also, the only race alive who cares what women say. SubhanAllah, that is a bit on the nose. OMG, he's a sexual ayer, says the white man when a hooker cries or lies. He always inserts something about himself, because he's getting constantly accused by women. It's really intense, and they all seem to have the same story, and that's kind of creepy. Maybe he has to stop hanging around with hookers. How about that? But he compliments women like Bonnie Blue, calls her based because she doesn't give it away for free, and he hangs out with Lena the Plug online talking, and Adam 22 having a chat. So he hangs out with a lot of low-class Dubai bimbos, and then wonders why he gets in trouble. He hangs out with sin, promotes sin. He won't climb out of the swamp, but complains when the alligator bites him. Makes absolutely no sense to me. Nobody else cares what those skanks say. Well, even if they are a skank, if it's true what they have said, then they deserve justice. Yes, they are immoral, but if you did that action, then they need to have their day in court. He says, only whites, no bro code, cooked. So, bro code is not listening to what a skank has to say when a crime has happened to her. Remember that Denzel Washington, the Equalizer 1, where Denzel Washington helps out a prostitute? That movie was intense, and he helped her to get out of that lifestyle, but he also realized that it was I think it was Russian? I don't know, some type of Slavic person who was the mafia pimp guy of those girls. So some of those girls, they've gotten scooped up in a fast life, and they can't just walk away as easy as some of us think. And a lot of fatherless women get into those activities, and the OGs, they take over those girls' brains, and then they just get used to it and beaten into submission. There's a whole way of that lifestyle making it hard for women to escape. So I don't think bro code applies to that. We should have Islamic code. What does Islam say? That's what we need to follow. So again, he's saying that we should have sort of racial identity first, and I don't think that's sustainable overall, because as I've shown with a lot of true crime stories, there are plenty of people who have committed crimes and they were white. So what are you talking about?